I'm going to show you how to consistently get people to say yes to the services that you offer without feeling like you're selling. My name is Brad. I'm a former audiologist and private practice owner. I generated over $10 million in hearing treatment revenue in my own practice. And for the past 5 years, I've worked with private practice owners, helping them generate tens of millions of dollars of treatment revenue in their practices. And I say all that only because if you are struggling with sales or you find yourself resistant to sales, I just want to let you know that I have a lot of context here. Hearing care professionals are generally highly resistant to sales. Most people get into hearing care because they want to help people, not because they want to sell stuff. Probably if you're an expert professional at what you do, you feel the same way. You're really freaking good at what you do, and you wish you could just do it all day and you didn't have to sell. What I'm going to show you in this video are some of the most powerful strategies and mindsets that I teach my practice owner clients that allow you to consistently get people to say yes to the service that you offer without feeling like a salesperson, without having to handle a ton of objections, without having to haggle on price. All right, so let's get into it. When I work with my clients who are hearing care professionals and practice owners, one of the most common frustrations that I hear is that patients don't value their service. This tends to manifest itself as patients who are price shopping based on product and patients who get to the end of a consultation and say, I need to think about it, or some other common objection. This becomes super demoralizing for my business owner clients who eventually start to wonder if they need to lower their prices so that they can compete with the big box store down the street, but they know that the quality of the care and the service that they deliver is the thing that actually gets the outcome for the patients. Okay, but let's think about this for a second. What's actually happening here? The patient shows up at the clinic. They go through a case history, or essentially a discovery session. They go through a diagnostic process. Clinician says, you have a hearing loss, you need to be wearing hearing aids. And then they look at different levels of technology, and the patient's left to make a decision. What is this sales process communicating to the patient? If it's me, my perception is that hearing aids are the solution to the problem. So if hearing aids are the solution to the problem, it's kind of logical that I'm going to look for the cheapest place that I can buy hearing aids. I can get hearing aids anywhere. Right? Now here's the thing, and if you talk to any hearing professional who does good work, they will tell you this. Hearing aids alone don't solve hearing loss. Treating hearing loss is a rehabilitative process that takes time, it takes adaptation, you have to retrain your brain to hear over time. But what are they selling? They're selling hearing aids, and then they're probably, as an afterthought, saying, you're going to get X number of years of care included with your hearing aids, as if that's like a nice to have to add on to the end. The same thing is true for so many other service professionals. Financial advisors that are selling financial advising services, a CPA who's selling getting your books done and filing your taxes, a dentist who's selling holes being drilled in your teeth, optometrists that are selling contacts and glasses. If what you're proposing to your client is a commodity that they can buy anywhere, that's a problem. Guess what? You're going to get price shopped. That's just logical human behavior. So here's the first mindset shift. If you sell a service that gets a transformation for your client, sell the transformation, not the stuff that gets them the transformation. If you're going on vacation, are you excited about the plane ride that's going to get you to the city that you're going to? Or are you excited about the experiences you're going to have and the memories you're going to make with your family and the cool stuff you're going to see and the food you're going to eat? The latter, right? So say a travel agent was selling you that vacation. Should they sell the plane flight? Or should they sell the experiences that you're going to have when you get there? So in a hearing care practice, that looks like we're selling the fact that you're going to be able to communicate with your grandkids when you go over to your daughter's house next time. If you're a financial advisor, you're selling peace of mind. You're selling a retirement where you can do the stuff that you want to do in your life. You're selling legacy. You're selling security. The problem is if you sell the investment vehicles, if you sell the timeline and the plan, and the allocations and all the stuff that's involved in creating the peace of mind and the legacy and the retirement. Okay, so sell the destination, not the vehicle. I want you to think for a second about your own process. When you talk to a candidate or a prospect, which one are you doing? Are you selling the vehicle that gets them there? Are you selling them the deliverables? Or are you leaning into the outcome and how their life is different on the other side of working with you? Now, one pushback that I commonly hear is people say, well, I have to talk about the features or the deliverables of what we do. Okay, that's fair, but I have a rule for you. Anytime you list a deliverable or a feature of the thing that you're selling, I want you to add so that you to the end of it. So I talk about a feature, but then I bring it back to a benefit. What does it actually do for them? And I bridge it with so that you. So I recommend XYZ feature so that you benefit, right? Okay, so here's the second extremely important mindset shift that you have to make if you want to shift from feeling salesy to feeling like you're just helping people get what they want. For most of us, when we go into a sales conversation, or if we're emailing back and forth with a prospect, or if we're in the DMs with a candidate, we have things that we want to accomplish in that conversation. Ultimately, we want to sell the thing that we're trying to sell because we want to make money. The problem is that mindset is inherently going to make you feel salesy because you're trying to push the candidate or the prospect to the outcome that you're hoping to accomplish. So what I would encourage you to do is actually adopt a completely different frame. Your job during a consultative sales process is to be a trusted guide. That means you're trying to understand, what does this person in front of me want? What are they afraid of? What are their dreams? What does success with this process or this solution look like? What are their concerns? What are their biases? What have they done in the past that has or has not worked? What baggage do they have? So I want to understand where they are right now, where they want to go. Again, if I bring it back to the hearing care world, what I find with many of those clients is that they ask a bunch of surface level medical questions. Have you been exposed to loud noise? Do you have family history of hearing loss? Do you have ringing in your ears? Those are fine. Those are important things to know for a medical case history, right? But that doesn't tell me what the patient is there for or what they're trying to accomplish. I need to ask them, if you could hear better in 3 situations, what would your top 3 priorities be? What context do you have for hearing treatment? What does an ideal outcome for today's appointment look like for you? So my job is to understand and be curious about where they're coming from. Now, let me tell you about the last element of the sales process. And this one's a little bit counterintuitive because it doesn't actually happen when you're having the sales conversation with your prospective client. In my experience, the most effective way to consistently get people saying yes to a service that you offer is by selling them on it before you ever have the sales conversation. What does that look like? Well, it's probably not just sending them a packet of information about all of the stuff you do. Because remember, that's the airplane ride, that's not the destination. What it might be is a video from you where you walk through the common objections, concerns, questions that people have, and then relate that to your process, set expectations for what's going to happen in your consultation, and paint a little bit of a picture of how you solve the type of problem that you're going to be having a conversation about. Another type of asset that you want to use are testimonials of the transformation that you've created for your past clients. Obviously, this requires you recording conversations with your past clients, documenting their journey of what was it like before they got to you, why did they choose you, what was their problem, what's their life like now. But if you have enough of those assets and you can proactively send them to your prospects before they ever have the conversation with you, and have somebody that's actually worked with you address the concerns that they might have, you can self-promote until you're blue in the face. But hearing it from somebody that you've already worked with and created the transformation for, that your prospect can see themselves in, is so much more powerful. In my own practice, every time we had somebody sign up for a consultation, we would send them a sequence of emails, setting expectations, talking to them about our proprietary treatment process that we use, and sharing patient stories, sharing transformations of other patients who have already worked with us, who had common concerns prior to coming into working with us. Before we started doing that, I would walk out to the lobby, introduce myself, and have to go into the consult room and start cold with this person. I would have to build credibility and trust in the time window of that appointment enough for them to make a commitment to working with me. Once we installed those processes, I would walk out to the lobby. I'd say, "Hey, I'm Dr. Stewart, great to meet you." And they'd say, "Oh yeah, I feel like I already know you. I've been seeing your face in those videos. It's great to meet you." How much easier do you think it is for me to lead that consultation and guide them to the point of making a decision when they already feel like they know me and trust me? The beauty of this is that you're actually creating trust and credibility and minimizing your need to persuade and to objection handle at scale proactively and automatically. Let me know if you'd like me to record a video walking through that pre-consultation process and exactly what we do inside. I'd be happy to share that with you. Okay, so in conclusion, you're an expert. You're really freaking good at what you do. It's frustrating having to justify your prices and having to convince people that they should work with you and feel like a salesperson. You probably didn't get into the work that you're doing to be a salesperson. So stop selling. Make sure that you're talking about the destination, not the vehicle. Talk about the transformation that you create. not all of the checklist of stuff that you do to get there. Lead your consultations like a trusted guide, ask questions, try to understand where they are, where they want to be, and then make it very clear that your solution bridges the gap between those two things. Anytime you need to talk about features or deliverables, we need to add that "so that you" to the end of it to tie it back to something they actually care about. And bonus points if you create a pre-consultation or pre-sales call sequence that's designed to proactively develop the know, like, and trust factor before you ever have the conversation. See you in the next one.